Be
Yeah.
best in me.
Right.
And we hear Murray singing.
They leave the rest to me.
So Spudic cannot make it. He's out.
He had to go somewhere tonight. I told me,
Oh,
but I can't
Hey,
remember.
Yeah.
hey, David, are you still there, David?
I'm listening and hearing all the
Yeah,
extra noises.
I just got this, man. This is awesome.
The book.
There's some other weird noises, but if I can hear you vaguely,
Yeah, I just got the book.
oh, good.
Yeah.
The Many Worlds of David Amram.
Yeah.
Oh, Radovich just got the book.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's fantastic.
He's
Whoops.
reading the
It says
book.
this
now.
meeting is being recorded. Now it's back again.
Okay. Well, technology, as Ali G says, technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, how have you been? I'm sorry that I didn't keep hangoutology for a long time. It was just overwhelming. I traveled for 6 months,
So
and it was a little bit overwhelming. But good to see you. You all look good. And
So do you, Nenad. You look great.
half of the David that we see is also good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, there I am at the top. Okay. Is that better?
That's better.
That's good.
That's better.
Great.
Yeah.
a kiss.
Well, good evening, sports fans.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice to see you all. And I hear the echo of my own voice. Do you hear a double echo?
No.
No,
Hearts
no, it sounds.
still
One time of my Feasterville, Pennsylvania population 200 accent 85 years later in West Camp, where they have the same population as they did at our farm in
best
1937, 200 people counting the cattle. I can't get rid of my accent,
best to me.
but that's cool. So I'll be uncharacteristically quiet. So the
And Brad, where are you calling from?
Chicago. Oh,
Chicago.
yeah.
Chicago.
Yes. We got a little snow today. Yeah, it's nice.
Good. And Murray's uptown New York, and
Yeah,
Nenad, where are you now? In Ossining?
In Ossining, Westchester, yes.
Huh.
Sing Sing.
The prison is right there. I actually living 1 block from Sing Sing is a friend of mine, and we closed the University of Cincinnati down.
I have a sing story as well. When I was playing with Richie Havens, Richie informed us that the band was invited to Sing Sing to do a performance, and so we had a bus all put together, and a beautiful blonde-haired helper was Richie's personal help there. And so we drove up and to Westchester, where Sing Sing is part of. And Richie said to us, if you need to put away all the things that you might have in your pockets, you should do it now. Just put it underneath the bus, and then we'll be right out. And so we all put our personal belongings underneath the desk in front of us. And he had an incredibly beautiful secretary who was a big help, of course. And Richie started doing the song, one of his songs, and he was like really getting into it. And the secretary stood up, and all of a sudden, all the guys at the jail started clapping
At her.
at her. That's right. So,
Not the song, but at her.
yeah. So the song was over. The song was over. It was her moment.
Yeah.
Talk about sing.
Yeah. Richie sang on my song, Can We Go Higher? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. He was a very good friend of mine.
He was a fantastic inspiration.
Yeah. And played the fastest guitar ever that I've seen. Rhythm guitar. He could play really fast,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
like you wouldn't believe it. Yeah. So David, how was your birthday? Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Well, since you mentioned Richie, I just wanted to say I first played with him in Washington Square Park, and we used to go to a place he invited me to called Ann Steinbracher, was a painter whose father was I guess a very well-known surgeon.
You move
So
camera a
she's-
little bit, camera, so we can see you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Don't see
Oh,
your head.
okay. There we
Yeah.
are. Sorry.
Yeah.
He was
You're still
hi
beautiful.
everybody. She was a very good artist, and her father was afraid he might get in trouble, so he said, "Well, look, I'll get you a studio downtown. I'll pay for it. You can paint and do what you want to do, and be an artist, and not have to get some horrible job and always be behind in your rent and starve to death." So uh, she started having these terrific loft parties. This was back in the 60s, early, before there was such a thing, expression known as the 60s, because we were there.
You
And
are ahead of your time.
Richie came up and played, and then I realized that she was a good painter, but she wasn't doing too much painting. She was more having these parties that would last 2 or 3 days, and then she would paint a little bit. Then it'd be time for the next loft party, bring your own bottle party, which was current at that time. So I remember hearing Richie play, and none of us could figure out how he could use his thumb to cover all the different strings, almost like a capo.
That's
but
correct.
keep changing it. It was almost like
Correct.
a pedal steel player or somebody
Yeah,
pulling
yeah,
a lever.
exactly.
He had an educated big thumb
Yeah.
where he could tune the guitar a certain way and play it a certain way. And it sounded like there was 2 or 3 people playing at the same time. It was amazing. And then we used to go up to WBAI and play all night on Bob Foss's show. And then suddenly Richie became discovered, thank heavens, by more than the people who enjoyed his music so much, and started recording. And he never changed. The last time we played together was for Pete Seeger's 90th birthday party at Madison Square Garden. But he was just the same wonderful guy that I met from a big family in Brooklyn who was just coming down to Manhattan to hang out and see what was happening down there. He was so original, and one of the few people who really got some of what he deserved while he was with us, and one of the nicest, most gracious people I ever met in my life, or I think any of us ever met.
Exactly.
And every place he went, people just fell in love with him because he was for real. And he loved all kinds of music way before that was considered to be fashionable. And we missed the heck out of him. And just seeing all of you guys reminds me of how lucky all of us were and still are to be working in music, where you get a chance to be with so many wonderful people. Not just people who play, but the people who come and listen, and the people that you hang out with. And that's something that younger people need to see and hear about all the time.
You
that the
gotta, I
superstar
gotta share with you.
whole idea is fine for business, and it can take very mediocre people and give them 3 months of fame before they go back and work at the gas station. But music has nothing to do with that. It's spiritual, it's social, it's human, and it's not ahead of its time. It's right on time.
I can contribute uh, something about Richie that when we were touring, we went to Baden-Baden, and Richie started his introduction, and he was very vocal, and he could go on for a while. And, he said he said to the audience, and this was a big German audience, and uh, he said, uh, some years ago, when I went out to Woodstock and we performed in Woodstock, and the crowd went, Woodstock. And then we went into one of his songs, but I never forgot the crowd going, Woodstock. Uh,
People in the Soviet Union heard about Woodstock and they felt the same magical thing, even though they were never there.
oh yeah, yeah.
That was time. Talking about time, Greeks have chronos, chronological time, and kairos, perfect time, perfect timing. You know, there is a different measure of time. Chronos is chronological, and kairos is a perfect moment. Yeah. So, so I met Richie Havens like first 2 weeks I met David Amram. Next 2 weeks I met Richie Havens, and when I wrote the song "Can We Go Higher," he responded, and he's in the video and sang. Yeah.
That must have been a wonderful thing to record.
Yes. 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 He was a gentleman, intellectual, you know, philosopher, and charming man. Listen to what somebody says. You know, didn't just want to say what he wanted to say, but he listened to other people and played that guitar amazingly. That rhythm guitar was like I have never seen before. And
He
yes,
was
he
was
played
like
with tongue.
he was like three people playing
Exactly.
Yeah,
his own rhythm section.
yeah.
We did a recording with the wonderful Native American singer. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we did a. Oh, that was me. I didn't want to, I didn't want to interrupt the person. It was me. I'm hearing myself back. Oy vey. Then I'll make it shorter than usual. We did a wonderful recording for the Native American singer Roland Musa, and the band was Richie, myself, and Pete Seeger playing backup for him. And when I listened to some of the tapes on the playback, I said, boy, I didn't know we had that many guitar players and a bass player. And he and Pete, not overdubbing, sounded like a whole band.
Oh yeah.
It was just so wonderful. And very important for all the listeners who, if they don't own a guitar, have a friend who does, or whatever connection you have to playing music, even tapping your foot in time. They were listening to him and one another, and not one of Roland's words were stopped on or drowned out, and nobody was what they used to say, bogarting the joint, hogging the scene, or taking someone else's life's work and using that as a way to capital, you know, throw themselves into the furnace of eternal flame and wreck the people they were playing with. They were listening, and when Richie played with other people, which he always did, and which we did so many times, he did the same thing. He played those phenomenal things that he would play, but when he was playing with someone else, he knew just what to play. And he said in his neighborhood, he grew up with every kind of music in the world, and he appreciated that all music had in common that respect for the music, for the idiom, and who they were playing with. And that's why I loved playing with him, and I loved being with all of you guys. And when people said to me years and years later, when my music began to be more appreciated, writing symphonies and jazz and all that, music from around the world, I said, I'm just doing whatever I found in every country in the world people do. They respect one another and they respect one another's music, and they try to fit in so that any of us who are coming to a folk festival where they use capos or maybe just spend three chords, so what? It's about the music and the spirit and what's being created, not the category or how you do it. So when people said to me, well, how come Charlie Parker, one of the most sophisticated cats of the century, loved country music and listened to it all the time just for fun? I said, because he told me it always had a story. The singers sang in tune. Everybody did it from the heart, from their heart to the heart of the listener, with no jive ass in between. So we all have a lot to learn from one another. And Richie was one of the people that showed us that he could create a whole worldwide audience just by what he did, not what it was called that he did, or waiting until three other people got more famous and tried to steal it from him. He
He
was
was
an
so
original,
fun.
and we can
So
thank heavens that he was appreciated as long as he was.
Yeah.
And I wish he was still here. I wish he were with us tonight
Yeah.
me
to give one of
too.
his
So
rambles.
let him be with.
Yes. Richie played, Richie called me up one time because I had written a song called The Sisters and Brothers We Adopt from the War. And Richie called me up. Hi, Murray, it's Richie. I'm gonna do your song on the Johnny Carson show. Sisters and Brothers We Adopt from the War. And it was a thrill to have somebody to have his voice and his attention and focus and creation.
Yeah. Let me share his voice just for a second on Can We Go Higher?
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
can see this, yeah? That's Malkovich.
Wow.
Anyway, that's the.
Wow.
Beautiful. Man.
Could
That's
I
Richie.
could I mention something too that I'll bet none of you or any of your listeners ever knew? Richie was chosen to sing by a wonderful Armenian American composer, and she wrote a piece based on the gardens of Gorky, and wrote this gorgeous piece and used an old Armenian folk song with a chorus and a symphony playing along. I believe it was at St. John's Cathedral, and Larry Sobel and I went to hear it. And Richie had never done that before, so he learned the piece by ear, and her singing it to him and playing him a demo that he could use. It was an old Armenian. She said he has the voice and the feeling to get that message in Armenian to a whole audience and get a feeling of what this piece is about. And he said, I'm scared, man. I said, Richie, you don't have to be scared. She's getting you not because of your name, but because of you and what you are and what you create when you sing or do anything. And he went out and sang it. It was just so beautiful. And she's a wonderful composer, and we hope that someday she could maybe come in the program. And her work is being done. And like Richie and like many people that we know, she's just followed her heart, what she loves to do, and she does it so well. And she's now being appreciated after many, many years. And it does take time. And we always wondered if
Amen.
Richie would ever be appreciated as much as he was among a handful of us. And of course, when he did Woodstock, he was just thrown in at the last minute, didn't even want to do it, but he did it anyway, hours after it was planned, and just knocked everybody out. Except
Well,
instead of having 50 people that had Steinbrockers uh, bring your own bottle party, he
I
was
think that
over 500,000 people and
he
the worldwide audience, and they
they
all
they were
loved
having they were
first
having
time.
dif-
Whether or not they knew who he was didn't mean anything. What he did remains a classic example, and he just made that up on the spot. He
he
was something
Freedom.
else.
he kept on going because there was no feature, any kind of, the traffic was so
It was
terrible
blocked. The whole
that,
highway was blocked.
yeah, so he kept on singing,
Yeah.
which is gracious for him, and lucky for us.
Well, and that's how he wrote Freedom, because
Correct.
he had done so many encores with all the songs he knew, and now they called him back on, and he had to write something, and that was Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How appropriate. Yeah.
that's wild to think of it that way.
So Nenad, you've been
Yes.
traveling all over the world. What was
Yeah.
the most fascinating experience for you on this trip?
Well, I'm just finishing it. Tomorrow morning will be finished. Short video. I can show you. It's not finished, but I can show you a couple of minutes if you want to see it.
Sure.
Okay, let me just try to find it. Just a moment.
Yeah, me too.
Just a moment. Okay, so let me just do this. Zoom, share.
And Rod, are you in Croatia or are you here somewhere? In Chicago.
I'm here, but I just recently finished my first all the way around the world trip, which was
Wow.
great. It was a 6 week, almost 2 months thing. Most of it was in Europe, but I got to go to Australia the other way around with a sleep at the wheel. And then I came back, and I'd never done that, and I really enjoyed all of it.
Nice. Nice. Well,
Wonderful.
tell us about it. I'll just play you a couple of minutes and you can tell us about your trip.
Yeah.
Here we go. When I see all of these people, 700 plus people here in this room, really my heart is full of joy and gratitude.
It's been a lot of fun coming and making new friends, and that's the greatest joy that I've had.
Ja to živim. To meni ne može niko dodati ili oduzeti. To je meni sastavni dio života, lijek.
It will be titled.
Das ist wie die Familie kehrt zurück. Und dann verdrückt man das eine oder andere Tränchen.
Whenever they said Parkinson, since I didn't know nothing about it, I was like, it's another life for me.
It was a real shock. I can remember walking away from the doctor and I couldn't believe it.
I took it really well, and I'm trying to get the best out of it right now. I'm trying to make something out of having Parkinson's.
I was relieved actually, because I thought it would be something worse. So when they said it's Parkinson, I said, okay, we will deal with it.
Some of my family members were acting like they felt sorry for me and they didn't know how to talk with me. And that's sad.
My friends were all very sympathetic, and my table tennis club were fantastic, and they've supported me for the last 10 years that I've had the diagnosis.
My wife was very supportive, and she said, oh, it's probably nothing, you can do this, you can do that. They just try to console you, and they try to calm you down, and that's how it is. I've had a supportive family.
Well, I'm taking really small dosages right now, since I got diagnosed 2 years ago. I'm taking the lowest dose that I can take. I'm really trying to move as much as I could, stay active, and that really helps a lot. I can feel on the days that I'm not moving, next day it will be a lot worse than before.
Ich bin sehr gut eingestellt. Ich muss sagen, nach der letzten WM mit Pula hatte ich direkt am Arzt und der hat mir untersucht und gesagt, was jetzt passiert. Er konnte kein Zahnradphänomen mehr feststellen, er konnte kein Rigor feststellen. Dann habe ich ihm gesagt, dass ich jetzt 6 Tage nur Tischtennis gespielt habe, und dann hat er mich mit großen Augen angeguckt und gesagt, das gibt's doch gar nicht. Ne?
Meni stolni tenis pomogao da ja 3 puta tjedno i udaram i oduševljen sam i kad vratim neku lopticu kao da bi bio zdrav.
I like something that is helpful, it's a good therapy for Parkinson, and so sport and exercise makes me happy.
私にとってピンポンパーキンソンはこれから生きていく上での生きがいというか、もう生きがいすべてで卓球をピンポンを通して。
It's like there's a little globe, a little planet almost, of people in that building over there. And we all have this same complaint. We all look a little bit different, we sound a bit different, but we all have big hearts and we all have a lot of energy.
Get up, go to the club. If you don't have club, put the net over the kitchen table or books. Start playing ping pong. Your life will change. Yeah.
Oh,
That was
wonderful.
great.
Bravo.
Yeah, it's not finished yet, but we will translate, of course, Japanese and German and Slovenian. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah,
Really great.
It will be finished tomorrow morning. I will stay a little bit overnight to give directions. But and the same guys are coming to Florida. I'm leaving on Florida on 12th for a month. We found an anonymous donor who will match grant with $1 million if we raised $250,000.
Wow.
So if you know anybody in Naples, Florida, let me know, because I need to find a place to stay. Yeah. if you know anybody in Naples.
I do. And he just had a woman come live with him.
Okay. I can replace that. Yeah. But anyway, so it's going on. It's changing the lives of many. Also, I formed a group called Cure by 2027 or sooner. Yeah, and I'm assembling people from all walks of life. And we found a woman in Manchester. She's a nurse. She can smell Parkinson.
Wow.
10 years ahead of symptoms. And now I found somebody at Heidelberg University, close to Heidelberg, who created an artificial nose. So that with AI, they can smell things without using human nose. So I'm trying to put these two people together and create a test for Parkinson's so that we know in advance, 10 years, who will get it. And then we can follow and hopefully find the trigger and find the cure. Yeah, it's happening these days.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So it's just, I announced it on in Austria, that cure by 2027, but I had no idea about this woman. But it's just, sometimes you say it, you, and then things come together. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
anyway.
So Rod, now you said you were going to tell us of your world tour. Where
Yes,
did you
yes.
go?
Australia and
Yes,
everything.
yes, it was just a joy, and the whole year was quite fun, and I was active the whole year. But there was a particular stretch from basically the end of August all the way to almost the end of October. And first I went to Croatia, and then I teamed up with the wonderful Susan Werner, and we did a boat cruise on the Adriatic, which Nenad knows all too well. We went from, let's see, I can't even remember the direction we started. Yeah, we started in Dubrovnik and went to Split and hit all the islands. And we did it in two ships. Susan had a ship, I had a ship, but we were on one ship every night for a concert pretty much. And that was fantastic. And then we came back, but we only had one ship going back. And that was even maybe more fun because I was just hanging out with Susan, and we had a fabulous crowd the whole time. And so that happened. That's 2 weeks right there. And then my friend Ellis Paul invited me to Ireland for one of his similar trips, but this is a on land trip, and it's a bus trip, and it involves a concert of some fantastic Irish musician in some beautiful coastal town. And this went on for 10 days. And then immediately after that, I jumped on an airplane and I went to Heathrow. Then I jumped on another airplane. I went to Bangkok and I jumped on another airplane. And 3 days later, being on an airplane the whole time, I wound up in Melbourne, Australia. And then I met up 30 minutes later, Ray Benson and Asleep at the Wheel come the other way. And then we had the most wonderful 10-day tour of Australia. And the reason the tour came together because the original and genius pedal steel player, a guy named Lucky Oceans, who I believe was a East of Washington D.C. East Coast guy, he was in the original Sleep at the Wheel. He's been playing in Australia, living there in Perth or Fremantle since 1981 or 82 or something, and he made this whole tour happen. And it was the most delightful tour of my life. Every town was spectacular. The concerts were wonderful, but the in-between stuff just blew my mind completely. And then I flew back the other way, and then I had gone around the world just like Jules Verne, and that was amazing.
Wow.
So tell me, Citizen, what's the name of the Citizen artist on the boat? Citizen.
Oh, Susan Werner. Susan Werner. She's a brilliant singer-songwriter and a dear friend, and very, very talented. You know, she's off the chain great. She's genius.
There's some good feeling when you circle the globe.
I had never done it, and
I've done it twice.
I felt like a 12-year-old. I was so excited.
I also went to Australia.
Yes.
Japan and China and all of this in 2010, and then I in 2000 um, 19, I also traveled around the world. So it's a special feeling.
It's magical. And the one other huge trip, it was in the 80s. My mother was in Indonesia. So I went, and that was so mind blowing. And I realized how much I miss that part of the world, and I almost never see it.
Yeah.
And just anywhere, Asia, Southeast Asia, it's so completely different, and it feels just so new, fresh, and invigorating. I just love it.
It's a magical planet.
Yeah, it really, really is.
David, you probably circled the world a couple of times.
Oh, many.
Yeah.
And each time at 93, like everyone else who's lucky enough to live that long, you realize how terrific people are and how terrific their cultures are.
Exactly.
And if you've been there before and see how it's changed, or you've been there for the first time and you see that the music is just a reflection of the people's lives and the way they've lived and survived and created a culture, and they've been doing fine without you. It's a big flash to say the United States is an extraordinary, crazy, wonderful, unique madhouse, and I love it very much, as we all do. It's the place where this music, more or less, was all created or put together somehow. But still, as a world country, we need so much to go back to the places where everybody came from to come and share their blessings here. And very often, those blessings get homogenized, uh, repackaged, redone in the order to supposedly sell more copies. And with cosmetic surgery, nose jobs, and completely violating and raping the very spirit of it, we don't really get the real deal. So when you go to places where they have the real deal, you find that what you thought was the real deal was what you learned from people who did it that way 50 years ago, and that all of these wonderful traditional things are changing constantly. That just like the universe, the music is always changing, but it always goes back to those roots, those many roots, and it has to touch your heart and be for real, and is a mystery that you can't explain, but when you know it, you're there. And that what we call formal classical music, every culture has their classical music and what they call their folk music. And sometimes you can't tell the difference because they're so rooted in our whole cultural, human, family feeling. And so are the people. And you learn how to behave, and you find that some of the best musicians are some of the most down home, best people, because they take what the great flutist Sir James Galway told me after I wrote a flute concerto for him. And I said, Sir Jimmy, because he got knighted, as a great story about that. He said to the Queen, "Well, Your Majesty, you can call me Jimmy." And she said, "Sir James, you could call me Your Majesty." She took her gig seriously, but at the same time that she had a great sense of humor, was down home person. We all remember pictures of her driving the ambulance during World War II, and she certainly wasn't looking for any show business credentials. Just wonderful people you see in all phases of life. And Sir Jimmy, I said, whether it's the person cleaning up the stage or the president of the symphony here in New Orleans, you're cool with everybody. And he said, quote, "In Ireland, where I'm from, we don't endorse putting on airs." And I said, wow, that's really it. And that's the wonderful thing I learned from going around the world. The niceness that people have, and incredible number of people you meet and can make a soul to soul connection with. You don't need a can opener to say hello. And those basic civilized things are something that we have to struggle for in this country, great country of ours, because we tend to lose that and make people others or not worthy of hanging out with because they can't do nothing for you. And I think that dreadful sickness, it's a mental illness, has to be cured. And the best way to cure it is everything from Parkinson's ping pong, which is an example of a musician who always put the music before him. And when he discovered he had some ill health, he was able to use that situation and create the same kind of wonderful international network that we have with music. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's the nice thing about this program, all these different people, all you wonderful guys, and we hope wonderful gals will come back again, talking about what you've done and how somehow it hooks up to all of us. And that's what traveling around the world teaches you, just to try to be a real mensch, to keep it for real. And if you can't do that, fake it. And you'll feel so good after about 2 weeks, you'll continue to be that way.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll give you my perspective from America. It's a little bit different. I think people are very friendly here, very open, comparing to many other countries. That I felt like at home immediately when I landed. People listened to me, and they were friendly and said hello, even if we don't know each other on the street. It's America is actually a very friendly country in my experience.
I think New York is that way, and the way you came to New York, where we met at the little bar I was playing at, they had some monster great musicians that came there, but they knew how to behave, how to be, how to try to be, and traveling around America, I always find, like everybody else, that if you can have the same feeling you do when you're overseas, that you're at home around the world, and music tastes you that way. And that's why anytime I see somebody and get a newspaper or a sandwich or whatever, or a doctor's advice, I always end up by saying to a stranger, as they say in the 19th century, thank you, and really mean it. And when you do that, the light comes on, and you could be friendly, because we were based on a democracy and on the idea of people coming from all over the world to find a better life. And that American dream is still a beautiful thing. And I think we get spoiled, largely, I hate to say it, by the entertainment industry and the manufacturing of entertainment, and think that stuff that's often created by sick, greedy people who never learned to sing and dance is what's happening. And what's happening is what makes you feel good in your heart. And that can happen anywhere and everywhere if you take the first step.
Yeah. So Radoslav left. I think he has a technical problem.
He disappeared, then returned for 1 minute, then disappeared again.
I think he has a Wi-Fi problem. But in any case, it was great to see you. Let's continue. Nothing important needs to be said. Just to hang out is enough for me. Just to see you. Yeah.
Great to see you, Nenad, and we're all very proud of you and full of admiration and respect for the work you're doing.
Thank you. And so am I with you. What you do is, it's little that I know. Your whole life is a legacy of good music, good vibes, good people, talented. Just it's remarkable. Little that I know.
And
Amen.
I hope I get to see you at Folk Alliance, so we can play our choice hillbilly tune, excerpt from an unknown Croatian song, and anything and everything, because you know how to do just about everything and anything.
Actually,
I'm going to be in China and in Ireland and out with Gary Snyder and the West Coast and all over the country. And I hope our paths cross more often so we can play together again.
yeah, let's play in November. We have a gallery called Mikiko opened the gallery. It's a Saito gallery in Verplank in Worcester. It's a new gallery. It's a fantastic space. And I have been offered the concert to do that. So I will do the whole weekend. TED Talk, TEDx, and perform live. If you are available, I will tell you the dates, November. And
Terrific.
Anybody is welcome to join for
Just to
Songo
see
2.
everybody
Yeah.
is worth it.
I'd like to know when that is.
Yes, I will tell you. I need to just look into. It's November.
Good.
Of this year. Yeah.
David's birthday is on November.
November 17 is your, I think. Yeah.
That's David's birthday.
17. Mine is 21st.
Great.
November 21st.
Great.
And I think it's 18 and 19th. I think something like that of November. I'll look right now. Look right now.
Turkey time.
October, November. Actually, 16 and 17.
Terrific.
David's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, if I have a gig someplace else, I'll come there at midnight or whatever I've done. That's why my concerts are always so long, because I figure that way people can come and sit in. So if they're working that night, they can come when they're done.
Yes, I will celebrate my 70th birthday.
Oh, yeah, you're a young fellow. And
You're a youth.
I'll only be 94 by then.
Youth.
So we could show all the younger people you're only as old as you make other people feel.
Yeah. Maybe Radosław can come as well.
The desperation is very
And
stimulating.
Murray. Maybe we can all come together for that date and play just something.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Count me in. Yes.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, all the best. Good night. Sleep well.
Yeah, terrific to hear and see everybody and
yeah,
get connected.
Yeah. That's the real hangoutology, because it's hanging out.
Amen.
Yes,
and we'll fix the microphone next time.
Oh, that's okay.
David.
It gave me a chance. I can hear what you guys are saying, and that's been so beautiful. It's been worth hearing. And for all of our millions of followers, bless you all too. And if you be creative, and remember, we're all born artists. We're all born creative until we're talked out of it. So don't let anybody talk you out of whatever you have to do to add something and make the world a more beautiful place.
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. All the best. Bye.
Great hangoutology.
Bye.
Great.
Bye.
Bye-bye.